I'm Ellis Martin. Join me now for a conversation with Jordan Trimble, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Skyharbour Resources, trading as SYH on the TSX Venture Exchange and SYHBF on the OTCQB in the U.S. Skyharbour Resources is a preeminent uranium and thorium exploration company with projects located in the prolific Athabasca Basin of Saskatchewan, Canada, which was ranked as the best mining jurisdiction to work in globally by the Fraser Institute in 2017. The company has been acquiring top-tier exploration projects at attractive valuations, culminating in 5 uranium properties totaling approximately 200,000 hectares throughout the basin. In July 2016, Skyharbour secured an option from Denison Mines to acquire a 100% interest in the Moore Uranium Project, now the flagship project, which hosts the high-grade Maverick Zone. The company is run by a strong management and geological team who are major shareholders with extensive capital markets experience as well as focused uranium exploration expertise in the basin. Jordan, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me. Good to be back. It's only been, I believe, a week or so, but a lot's happened even in the last 7 or 8 days.
Well, you promised some news at the Moore Uranium Project. I didn't realize it was going to be this fast. It's exciting. Let's hear about it.
As we've discussed in previous interviews, an ongoing drill program at our flagship Moore Lake project, planning now to do upwards of 6,500 to 7,000 meters. But in this release, we've announced that we've completed just under 5,000 meters and 13 holes with an expansion, as I mentioned, of 1,500 to 2,000 meters. The highlight drill result, and I will note this is just the first several holes we've announced, but the highlight drill result are actually our best drill intercept to date at the East Maverick Zone in the basement rocks. We drilled 2.54% U308 over 6 meters, and within that, a higher grade zone of 6.8% U308 over 2 meters. So very good intercept. We're extremely pleased with it. Additional assays are pending. We have another 7 holes to report, and as I mentioned, drilling is continuing. What we're doing here is we are following up this high grade basement hosted feeder zone down plunge. So we're drilling in a direction that we believe will lead us to additional high grade mineralization at depth and down plunge at the East Maverick Zone. A few of the upcoming drill holes will be targeting this. We're having success. This is a follow-up to the mineralization we announced in our previous program, actually our longest continuous zone of uranium discovered at the project, a 17.5 meter zone of 0.72%. So again, we're seeing the tenor and the grade of mineralization pick up as we drill down plunge. We also have a few drill holes that we have assays pending for at some other targets, including the Esker target, which is along strike, but up to the northeast of this main Maverick and Maverick East zone where the focus has been. So the Esker target is highly prospective. There is mineralization there. We drilled 3 holes there, again, assays pending. And then we drilled another 3 holes at a new target called the Grid 19 target, which is a good 10, 11 kilometers northeast of the Maverick zones, a regional target that hasn't had hardly any historical exploration done on it. In fact, it was a target that we delineated and refined earlier in the year with some geophysics. We're very happy with what we've seen. We're seeing all the right indicator and pathfinder minerals, all the right types of rocks, and the right geology for uranium mineral and mineral deposition. We will continue exploring and advancing these regional targets, but the focus will remain at this 4.7 kilometer long conductive corridor that is the Maverick corridor, and within that, we will continue testing these basement hosted targets. We feel that that is where there is going to be an additional high grade discovery made at the project. And obviously in this market, any news flow, any positive drill results and news flow you can generate, the market is responding positively. And we're seeing this continued march higher in the share price and in the valuations across the board. And just a quick note too, and to just recap the interview we did last week and some of the news flow we've had from the previous few weeks, partner companies Valor and Azincourt are both actively exploring our Hook Lake and East Preston projects. So we will see continued news flow from those properties and those partner-funded programs, in addition to the news flow and the continued assays and results that we'll be announcing over the coming months from our flagship Moore Lake project.
During our last interview, Jordan, you touched on the fact that Sprott was getting heavily involved in the uranium sector. I think, I'm being speculative, of course, but I don't think it's a big stretch to say that we are at perhaps the first leg of a really strong bull market for uranium.
Yeah, I believe we are. And look, the market continues to march higher. It's been quite something to watch how rapidly it's moved, how effective the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust has been in further tightening the market. We've seen now just about initial $300 million at the market offering deployed into the spot market. I think they've bought now close to 7 million pounds during the last few weeks. And we've seen that move the price from $30 a pound to almost $44 a pound in the spot market. So you've had a very significant move higher. We talked about this in previous interviews. This is a result of a market that has gotten significantly tighter. We've seen a major supply side response play out over the last several years, a very compelling underlying fundamentals. I think it's important to highlight that yes, Sprott is the main catalyst right now and will continue to be, with the announcement just last Friday that they're planning to raise an additional $1 billion on top of the $300 million that they've initially used to purchase material with. So an additional $1 billion will have a major continued impact on the market. But outside of just the Sprott catalyst, I want to re-highlight that this is a sector that has suffered through a very long, drawn-out bear market. We've seen a major supply-side response play out, as I mentioned, where we've seen supply decrease from about 160 to 165 million pounds down to 120 million pounds in 2020. So primary mine supply is just simply not there to meet the growing demand at about 180 plus million pounds. Even with some production and mine restarts globally, we still will be in a primary mine supply deficit. And I think that's a key talking point, reasoning behind this market still being in the early inning, unlike what we saw in 06, 07, where you had some major production coming online globally, including Cigar Lake and Kazatomprom. This cycle, once the restarts do happen and curtailed production comes back online, you still have this primary mine supply deficit, and you really do not have, at least in the short term, you do not have any new meaningful production that can come on to meet that growing demand. I think we're still in the early innings, but I also think this will be a sustained move higher. And when it comes to the equities and the mining stocks, as we're seeing the valuations continue to move higher, again, we're now at, I think, a combined market capitalization of all publicly traded uranium companies of about $35 to $40 billion. That pales in comparison to where it was previously at about $150 to $200 billion. So there is still strong re-rating potential across the board as the metal price continues to move higher. And in particular for Skyharbour, we have lots of company-specific news flow from our drilling at Moore Lake and partner-funded programs at some of the other properties.
And really, with the large footprint you have in the Athabasca, you and your partner companies are pretty much a standalone story there, aren't you?
Well, there aren't many companies, right? And we've talked about this. It's not a crowded space. We do have a few peer group companies and other exploration companies that are focused in the Athabasca Basin, but it's certainly not a crowded space. I think we will see that change as the market continues to improve. We will see new entrants and new issuers coming into the market, and we can take advantage of that and be opportunistic with the inventory of properties that we've built up. We're continuing to add properties to the portfolio, and we will be there when companies come into the market, into the basin. We will be able to sell, option, or joint venture those projects and monetize all or some of those projects as, again, see this market continue to pick up.
Jordan, thanks so much for the update. I look for more news then soon, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Keep an eye out for additional news. We'll have a steady flow from our flagship project and the drilling that we're carrying out there right through, likely until the end of the year. We are working towards a resource estimate early in the new year and fully funded for all the upcoming drilling plans we have at Moore Lake.
Thanks again, Jordan.
Thanks.
I've been speaking with Jordan Trimble, President and CEO of Skyharbour Resources, trading as SYH on the TSX Venture Exchange and SYHBF on the OTCQB in the U.S. For the Ellis Martin Report and Skyharbour Resources, I'm Ellis Martin.
Would you like to be one of the first to see who we are following? Subscribe to our audio newsletter. It's free. EllisMartinReport.com